Hi, this is Cheryl Peterson with Healing Science Today, reading a Christian Science Bible lesson sermon from the King James Version of the Bible, copyrighted by Thomas Nelson, and from 21st Century Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, a modern version of Mary Baker Eddy's Science and Health, copyrighted by Cheryl Peterson. The subject is Deliverance. Golden text is from 2 Samuel. God is my strength and power, and he makes my way perfect. You have also given me the shield of your salvation. Your gentleness has made me great. Leviticus. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring to you pure oil of pressed olives for the light, to make the lamps burn continually. Now the son of an Israelite woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel, and this Israelite woman's son and a man of Israel fought each other in the camp. And the Israelite woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed, and so they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Deborah, of the tribe of Dan. Then they put him in custody, that the mind of the Lord might be shown to them. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take outside the camp him who has cursed. Then let all who heard him lay their hands on his head, and let all the congregation stone him. Then you shall speak to the children of Israel, saying, Whoever curses his God shall bear his sin, and whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall certainly stone him, the stranger as well as him who has been born in the land. When he blasphemes the name of the Lord, he shall be put to death. John. Now, about the middle of the feast, Jesus went up into the temple and taught. And the Jews marveled, saying, How does this man know letters, having never studied? Then Jesus answered them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his who sent me. If anyone wills to do his will, he shall know concerning the doctrine, whether it is from God, or whether I speak on my own authority. He who speaks from himself seeks his own glory, and he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moses give you the law? Yet none of you keeps the law. Why do you seek to kill me? The people answered and said, You have a demon. Who is seeking to kill you? Jesus answered and said to them, I did one work, and you all marvel. Moses therefore gave you circumcision, not that it is from Moses, but from the fathers. And you circumcise a man on the Sabbath. If a man receives circumcision on the Sabbath, so that the law of Moses should not be broken, are you angry with me because I made a man completely well on the Sabbath? Do not judge according to appearance, but judge with righteous judgment. Now early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what do you say? This they said, testing him, that they might have something of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger, as though he did not hear. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. And Jesus said to him, Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Matthew. Do not think that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For assuredly, I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled. 21st century science and health. Human beings should renew their energies and endeavors and see the folly of hypocrisy, while also learning the necessity of working out their own salvation. The effort to unlearn false perceptions includes forfeiting those views completely. Then error will be submissive to truth. The divine method of becoming responsible for every thought and action involves unwinding our snarls and learning from experience how to divide between the human and the spiritual. The Bible teaches that spirit renews and transforms the body. Take away the spiritual meaning of Scripture, and that collection of works can no more help human beings than moonbeams can melt a river of ice. The error of all generations is preaching without practice. Jesus' teachings were scoffed by religious elders because the teachings demanded more than the officials were willing to practice. Human belief embraces the conditions of sin. Mortal belief dies to live again in renewed forms, only to end forever. For life everlasting is not to be gained by dying. Divine science may absorb the attention of the scholar and philosopher, but it is only fathomed by the spiritually minded. Divine science is made known most fully to the people who understand best the divine life. It should be thoroughly understood that all people have one mind, one God and Father, one life, truth, and love. The fulfillment of real identities will be realized as this fact is understood. We cannot interpret spirit, mind, through matter, because matter does not really see, hear, or feel. So improve the thought process. Reason from cause to effect, and spirit will be found giving the true mental idea. Reasoning from cause to effect in the science of mind, we begin with mind, which must be understood through the idea which expresses it and cannot be learned from matter. Thereby we arrive at truth or intelligence, which evolves its own perfect idea and never can equate with human illusions. If soul sinned, it would be mortal. Sin is mortal because it kills itself. If truth is immortal, error must be mortal, because error is unlike truth. Because soul is immortal, soul cannot sin, for sin is not the reality of being. The truth of mind shows conclusively how it is that matter seems to be but is not. Divine science, rising above physical theories, excludes matter, resolves things into thoughts, and replaces the objects of physical sense with spiritual ideas. For this revelation, I introduced the term Christian Science to designate the scientific system of divine healing. The revelation consists of two parts. 1. The discovery of this divine science of mind healing through a spiritual sense of scriptures and through the teachings of the counselor as promised by Jesus. 2. The proof by present-day demonstration that the miracles of Jesus did not specifically belong to a privileged few or at a time now ended. Miracles illustrate an ever-operative divine principle which indicates the eternality of the scientific order and continuity of being. Divine science differs from the hard and soft sciences, but is preeminently scientific because it's based on truth, the principle of all science. The hard and soft sciences are human knowledge, beliefs, human inventions, a shaved Samson without strength. When human beliefs lack organizations to support them, their foundations are gone. Not having moral might, spiritual basis, or a holy principle of its own, a belief mistakes effect for cause and seeks to find life and intelligence in matter, thus limiting life and adhering to disorder and disease. Basically, human beliefs are blind conclusions made from unreliable reasoning. A mortal sense of things is forever silenced by immortal spirit. We can interpret and understand the universe and its inhabitants by science from its divine principle, God. But when explained on the basis of physical sense and represented as exposed to change, accumulation, and decay, the universe and its inhabitants are enigmas. Gravitational, electromagnetic, and nuclear forces are properties of mind. They belong to divine principle and support the equilibrium of that same thought force which launched the earth in its orbit and said to the proud wave, "This far you may come and no further." Spirit is the life, substance, and continuity of all things. We move on forces. Withdraw them and creation must collapse. Human knowledge calls them forces of matter. Divine science restores the forces by classifying them spiritually and by declaring them inherently and wholly to belong to divine mind. The elements of the physical world and the functions of the physical body will change as human mind changes its beliefs. What is now considered the best condition for biological and functional health may no longer be found indispensable to health in the future. Moral conditions will always be found harmonious and health-giving. Biological inaction and overaction are not beyond God's control. People will be found normal and natural as mortal thought grows out of the phases which human belief creates and sanctions. Experiments support the fact that mind governs the body, not in one instance, but in every instance. The indestructible faculties of spirit exist without the conditions of matter and without the false beliefs of a mortal existence. There is no power apart from divine mind. Omnipotence has all power, and to acknowledge any other power is to dishonor God. The humble Nazarene overthrew the assumption that sin, sickness, and death have power. He proved them powerless and restored dignity to experience. By universal consent, the mortal mindset has obligated human beings to sickness, sin, and destruction. This programmed mindset and the individuals who uphold it are mistaken in theory and in practice. The so-called law of human mind, conjectural and speculative, is made void by the law of spiritual mind. Be sure to trample false law underfoot. If sickness is real, it belongs to spirituality. If sickness is true, it is a part of truth. Would you attempt, with drugs or without, to destroy a quality or condition of truth? Let's say sickness is not real. Let's say sickness and sin are unfiltered and unprocessed images that can be filtered and processed by divine science to show us health, holiness, and spirituality. This process, or clarification of information, is accomplished through Spirit, Christ, or the advanced appearing of truth. This is the deliverance, which comes through God, the divine principle love, as demonstrated by Jesus.